My name is Rosalind Ward, and I am a procurement liaison with the Section 3 Field Office of the Chicago Housing Authority. Today, along with my co-worker, Corrine Burgess, sitting over there in the yellow shirt, Senior Contract Compliance Specialist with the Department of Procurement and Contracts, our presentation will be an overview on doing business with the CHA. Just
press the arrow.
Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to get out of the way so everyone can see.
You're good.
Okay. Today, I'll start with an overview of CHA and follow the agenda in order. And then when it gets down to MWBEE requirements, I will turn it over to Kareem. That's his specialty. The Chicago Housing Authority is a municipal, is a municipal corporation established in 1937 due to a Illinois Housing Act to administer federal housing which is decent, safe, and sanitary for people with limited incomes. However, the CHA's mission has transformed to provide affordable housing opportunities and social services in a variety of areas such as employment, education, and related resources. CHA is the third largest public housing agency in the United States and is fully engaged in providing new strategies to benefit residents, communities, and the agency. Our procurement authority is governed by three things. The first, since CHA is funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, our procurement authority is the second code of federal regulations, CFR 200.317 through 326. That is the HUD regulations that we follow for procurement. Also, we utilize the HUD Procurement Handbook 7460.8 Revision 2 and CHA's Procurement Policy and Procedure Manual. Next, please. To become a vendor with CHA is very easy. The only thing you have to do is register in CHA Supplier Portal. You just go to our website, www.thecha.org. Click on Doing Business, then click on the Supplier Portal. Click here to access the CHA Supplier Portal, and then select Register. Now, it's nice to see some of our Section 3 vendors in here who I know now always remember their passwords, right? Okay, but one thing I do want to point out, it's very important when you register as a new vendor in our CHA Supplier Portal, you must upload a W-9. If you don't, your registration will not be complete. There are three ways to find out about current and open solicitations with CHA. First is our website. You can always go to our website, find a snapshot of everything that's open. You will find a short description of the solicitation, the open and due date, pre-bid or pre-proposal date, and contact information. Secondly is our CHA Supplier Portal, which you must be registered in. You log in, click on Open Browse, click on Browse Open Solicitations. Everything that's open will pop up. You can click on that link, and the event summary page pops up. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you just click the other links to read the solicitation. You can print them out, download it to your computer, whatever most convenient for you.
Can you turn this one off?
Turn that off, right? So the advantage of being registered in our portal, you can ask questions to the procurement specialist, and you can submit your responses electronically. Legal notice. All of our formal solicitations, that means anything that we are procuring for over $150,000, must be advertised in 3 local newspapers. So we utilize the Sun-Times, Lawndale, and the Chicago Defender. Being registered in the portal allows you easy access because you will receive an email notification of all new issued solicitations. You have direct access to contract opportunities where you can seek information on subcontracting, and you can communicate with DPC staff during the solicitation process. Responding to an invitation to bid or small purchase. What does that mean? Okay, it's the scope of work. With an invitation for bid or small purchase, it clearly defines what CHA is looking for. It is in detail. We typically use small purchases and IFBs for construction or supply and delivery. You must submit a bid bond, which is for construction only. There's a fee form, and it's a firm fixed price, so what the price you write down, that's it. There's no negotiation. And for construction, it's lump sum bid, base bid. Also, there are MBE, WBE, DBE, and Section 3 requirements, which Kareem will go over in a few minutes. Also, there are important dates to remember. The pre-bid meeting, site visit if applicable, question deadline, because there is a period of time through the portal that you must submit questions to the procurement specialist if there's something not clear to you. And then there's the opening due date and time. Responding to a request for a proposal, RFP. What's included in a RFP? A broad scope of work. We defines the project objectives and scope of services, but we do not detail every aspect of the project implementation. We are looking for the vendor to supply that information to us. It's typically used for professional services and may be used for some construction. The fee form is typically a firm fixed fee or cost reimbursement. It publishes weighted evaluation criteria, which a team of evaluators will sit and evaluate every proposal submitted. The award is to the highest ranked responsible proposer who brings the best value to the CHA. In addition, there are MBE, WBE, DBE, and Section 3 requirements. Also important dates, again, to remember. Pre-proposal meeting, question deadline, proposal due date and time. Top 5 things to remember. Complete your registration in the supplier portal. Read the entire solicitation document. Follow the format and content instructions because it will direct. We want it in 8x11, double space. Follow the instructions. Complete and submit all requested documents. That's important because you don't want to be deemed non-responsive because you didn't submit everything that was required. Sign and notarize all documents as required. Part of any solicitation with CHA, be it small purchase, IFB, or RFP, there are documents that have to be notarized. And one, off the top of my head, is a contractor's affidavit. Provide proof of insurance for all services. Bid bonds must be included for construction solicitations. If you don't submit your bid bond, you will be deemed non-responsive. Acknowledge addendum by signing and submitting with package. At times, addendums will be issued on a solicitation, and you can print it out through the supplier portal. You will receive notification that an addendum has been issued. Print it out, sign it. When you submit your solicitation, make sure it is included. That's important because if you don't read it, the quantity could have changed, something about the service could have changed. So make sure you print it out, sign it, read it. Submit response on time. Late responses are not accepted. So you can either submit your solicitation electronically through the CHA supplier portal, or you can submit it to CHA on the due date and time in a sealed package. When in doubt, ask a question. Our most commonly procured items are, for commodities, computer supplies, office supplies, promotional items, catering, and apparel. For professional services, financial, legal, accounting, consulting, and insurance. I now turn it over to Kareem.
Oh, all right, that's me. I think I'm turned on right here, so I'm okay with the mic. Okay. Thanks, Roz. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kareem Burgess, Senior Contract Compliance Specialist with CHA. This slide here that you see on your screen now up here on the wall represents the MW DBE goals for Chicago Housing Authority solicitations. Now, CHA, we're going to advertise our solicitation as one of three ways. It's either going to be a construction project, professional service project, or a supply and delivery contract that we're advertising for. So what the left side of this slide represents is the MW DBE participation goals based on the contract type that's being awarded. So for example, if you're being considered for a construction project and that construction project has a contract amount of, let's say, $1.5 million, then you know that your MW DBE participation goal should be 40%. And as that contract amount decreases, so does the MW DBE participation amount. So you see our first level here represents contract amounts between $25,000 and $200,000. Those contract awards have a 25% MW DBE goal if it's a construction-based contract. If it's a professional service or a supply and delivery contract, real quick and easy, if it's $25,000 and above, it has an MW DBE participation goal of 20%. You see this little bullet down here, it says if a contract is less than $25,000, MW DBE goals do not apply. That's for any contract type, so keep that in mind. If your contract amount falls under $25,000, there are no MW DBE participation goals that you'd have to adhere to. This fine print down at the bottom just speaks to the monthly B2G Now payment reporting that's required of all firms that are awarded contracts with CHA. So we use B2G Now to report how much CHA is spending with you, and more importantly, how much you may be spending with any subcontractors. On the right of the slide here is just speaking to the required documents, the documents that you would submit to demonstrate your compliance with our MWDBE plan or our MWDBE requirements. Those documents include the Schedule A, which is the MWDBE utilization plan, the Schedule C, or the letter of intent that should be submitted for all self-performing primes and any MWDBE subcontractors. All of those subcontractors should be certified, and they should be able to produce to you or to us a valid letter of certification. And finally, if you're unable to meet that MWDBE participation goal in its entirety, or if you're unable to meet it at all, you can submit a waiver request of the MWDBE goals. I've been with the authority now for a little over 2 years. I don't think I've ever seen a waiver request awarded. So, you know, we try to work with you as hard as we can to try to get you to meet compliance, because we look at that as an opportunity missed for an MBE, WBE, or a DBE. So you can submit a waiver request, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be approved. This slide here just speaks to the Davis-Bacon wage rate requirement at CHA. This wage rate is required for all construction contracts over $2,000. So those wage rates don't apply to any professional service or supply and delivery contracts. It's only for construction contracts, and it's only for those construction contracts over $2,000. It includes alterations, repairs, painting, and decorating. Excuse me. It applies to all laborers and mechanics. It requires payment of prevailing wages and fringe benefits, so please keep that in mind. CHA, we do conduct unannounced site visits, and they will be conducted throughout the duration of the construction work. If you can read that small print there, it says the Davis-Bacon Act is a United States federal law that establishes the requirement for paying the local prevailing wages on public works projects for laborers and mechanics. It applies to contractors and subcontractors performing on federally funded or assisted contracts in excess of $2,000 for the construction, alteration, or repair, including painting and decorating of public buildings or public works. And down here, this fine print at the bottom just speaks to the LCP tracker system that we use to capture all of the labor hours being performed on a CHA contract. Our Section 3 requirement. Our Section 3 program is a program that we use to try to incorporate our CHA residents and our CHA resident-owned businesses or any low-income Chicagoland area individual or business into our contracts. So the purpose of Section 3 of the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Act is to ensure that employment and other economic opportunities generated by certain HUD financial assistance shall, to the greatest extent feasible and consistent with existing federal, state, and local laws and regulations, be directed towards low and very low income persons. And that was a mouthful. So there are 3 ways that you can self-certify yourself as a Section 3 business. The first way is by being 51%. The company has to be 51% or more owned by Section 3 residents, or the company has to employ Section 3 residents. At least 30% of their full-time staff should be made up of Section 3 residents, or the contractor commits to subcontracting 25% or more of their contract amount to Section 3 business concerns that are self-certified in these top 2 categories. So if you're a Section 3 business concern because you promised to subcontract 25% of your contract to other Section 3 businesses, you can't subcontract to another business that makes that same promise. You have to subcontract to one of the other 2 Section 3 business concerns in order for that relationship to be approved. Next slide, please. This slide here just represents the Section 3 requirements for the contract type. First line here, you see the type of contract it is. It would be construction. The amount would be all contract values. Oh, I should have mentioned, for our Section 3 requirement, there are 2 components. There's a subcontracting component, but there's a hiring component as well. So that Section 3 program is made up of those 2 components. For the hiring component, our requirement is that 30% of all new hires be Section 3 residents. So let's say, for example, you're awarded a contract and you may have a team of 10 people on staff, but the scope of services calls for, dictates that 20 people are going to be needed. So you're going to have to go out and hire some additional staff. By my math, you're going to need 10 additional people. So our requirement is that 30% of those new hires, those 10 individuals that you have to go out and pick up, those 30% of them have to be Section 3 residents. So 3 out of those 10 should be Section 3 residents. And that's, I don't only use 10 as an example, but If you needed more than 10, if you needed less than 10, whatever the case may be, just remember that 30% of those new hires have to be Section 3 residents. If you don't need any new hires, then that's fine. Just indicate that if you have the manpower already to get the job done, then you're fine. We're not saying that you have to go out and hire new people every time you win an award. That only comes into play if you indicate to us that more manpower is needed. For a construction-related contract, the Section 3 subcontracting goal is 10% of the total contract value. So if you have a $100,000 contract with CHA, 10% of that $100,000 should be subcontracted to some of our Section 3 business concerns. For a professional service agreement, again, it includes any contract amount. The same thing applies for in regards to the hiring. 30% of all new hires have to be Section 3 residents. But instead of a 10% subcontracting goal, our professional service only has a 3% goal. So for professional service agreements, only 3% has to be subcontracted or outsourced to Section 3 business concerns. The documents that you would use to demonstrate that Section 3 compliance include the Schedule B, which is the utilization plan, and you also have to submit a letter of intent or a Schedule C for the Section 3 business concerns that you might be partnering with. Down here at the bottom, it says, note, all hires must be made through the CHA Section 3 hiring system. Check out CHA Section 3 business registry for Section 3 firms. So we house a list of all of the Section 3 business concerns that have gone into the portal and self-certified or registered themselves as Section 3 businesses. So in the event that you can't navigate to that site or that page, our office can assist you with identifying some of those Section 3 businesses so that you can build those relationships and start those partnerships. Next slide. Oh, that's it for me. All right. So thank you, guys. Should you take my mic?
I speak loud, so.
Okay.
How's everybody doing this afternoon? Hot afternoon. Good. My name is Lori Lipson, and I'll be talking a little bit about the PBC, which probably nobody has heard of before. We are a separate municipal corporation established in 1956. If you had the great pleasure to come to the Daly Center, we own and operate one of the largest courthouses in the country. That is our building, and that is our first project that we did. Next slide. The PBC's mission is to repair, build, renovate facilities, and we make sure it's a reflection of the community that we're in. Next slide. So we do a couple of things. We can do assessment through planning, design. We do development, which is construction. We also do planning, procurement, furnishing, operation, and maintenance of buildings. Next slide. So, okay, thank you. Our list of clients. I'm going to say that because they're here. Our favorite client is CHA. We currently have a project with CHA right now, Williams Park. It's a field house. We're building on behalf of CHA, but we work with the city. We're building a salt dome. Next month, we'll start a fire station. Currently, we have about 42 schools. You might have heard of Southside High School that we're building in Inglewood on 68th and Normal. Along with that school, we have 32 other annexes that we're doing. We also have 14 Park District field house projects. And we've done some work for CHA. We've done some camera work for Cook County. So we're everywhere. So our responsibility is to make sure that we procure on behalf of our clients, which have different rules. So one thing about working with the city, everybody thinks, oh, everybody has the same rule. As you know, CHA has different rules. We have different rules. But what we do, we have to make sure that we follow all the procurement guidelines that we have by state statute. In addition to that, follow our client's direction. So we have a couple methods in which we procure things. Same as CHA, everyone have requests for proposals, requests for qualifications. We have RFQPs, which are basically qualifications plus the cost associated. It's just a fancy way of saying that. We have under 25,000 contracts. We also have a pool of vendors that we use for different projects. And we also do invitation for bid for our construction projects. We rarely do emergency procurements because we are a developer. We do big construction projects. And we also have contracts that we call them piggyback off of. So if I go to CHA and I like one of the contracts they have, we'll take it and then add our terms and conditions. So the first one, I think Rosalind talked a little bit about it for the RFP. What you need to remember is almost every agency is asking for the same thing. You want to make sure that you are giving every agency what they're asking for. So just make sure you read the directions, make sure you read the deadline, and you want to make sure that you're showing your best foot forward, right? So if you're professional services carpentry, you want to show all those things and demonstrate that you've done that and were successful. Some people have submitted in their RFP jobs that they were not successful at. That would not be a good choice to do that. You want to make sure that you submit. You would be surprised. People submit references, and when we call them, they have a bad reference. Just like when you're looking for a job, you want to make sure you give somebody your best foot forward. So those are some of the big ticket items I would remember for RFPs. For RFQs, the same thing. Basically, what they're looking for is to say, are you qualified to do that? A lot of people assume, well, they know Lori, they know I'm qualified to do that. No, everybody's going to look at the work differently. So if you have certifications or any professional degrees that you need to make sure that you put that in your RFQ, and the same thing happens. Make sure your references are good and make sure all your licenses are up to date. RFQP is qualifications plus cost. You want to make sure that the cost that you are including in your P portion proposal is something that you have the bandwidth to complete. Like Rosalind said, if you put in there, it cost me $10,000 to do it, as a government agency, we're going to take you at $10,000. You can't come back and say, you know what, I forgot to add this one last thing. We're going to take you for the $10,000. So make sure it makes sense and that you look through it thoroughly. We have another tool in our toolbox. It's called Letters of Interest and Qualifications. I don't know, are there any architects or engineers in here? There might be some online. I forgot we're live stream. Okay, so what you would do for this, you would send in documentation that says, I'm interested in doing architecture work on behalf of the PBC. Here's some of my portfolio. I've done field houses, schools. I've done residential, commercial. You wouldn't just show a portfolio of all the work you've done. And so that's when agencies ask for letters of interest and qualifications. That's what they're asking for. We also have short forms. We're a little different because the bulk of our work is construction. So we have very few opportunities for this, like our payroll, sewer televising, receipt books. We don't use that often, but when we do, we still get 3 prices for it. Our last tool in our box are pre-qualifications. So, for example, we did qualify for park district projects and school projects. So what we said is, hey, have you done any parks? Do you have any landmark experience? And have you worked on any historical sites? And so you would put in a pool and say, hey, do you want to be pre-qualified? So when we go out to bid, you're already in the mix, and we just go to that pre-qualified pool. The biggest method we use is design, bid, build. And what we do, the architects put together the drawings and we bid it out. Typically, our construction projects go for $20 million and up. We have a few that are under that, but that's our general kind of threshold for our construction projects. You want to make sure you turned in a sealed bid. You have to have your payment and performance bond. You have to have your bid documents correct. And we respond to it by taking it to our board. And I forgot to tell you who's on our board. On our board, the chairman is the mayor. The other members are President Preckwinkle, MWRD, President Clark from CPS. We have MWRD. We have city colleges. We have a couple folks that are on our board. And so when we go for our projects, we go monthly. So everyone on the team knows about it. In our construction document,
I'm asking, can you shut off the ringer on your phone?
That's okay. I'm sure he doesn't have a technology firm. Okay. So in our invitation for bid documents, these are all our construction bids. You're going to have book one that has all your introduction, your MBE, WBE, community hiring goals. The second one are terms and conditions. Almost every agency has terms and conditions. They're almost all the same. And third is a drawing and a technical specifications. So we also have compliance. That is our mainstay at the PBC. We only take the city and county certification, and we want to make sure that you guys, if you are certified, make sure you have an up-to-date certification letter. Our goals are a little different. We have PBC, you'll see typical minimum goals, 26 and 6, and professional 25 and 5. But that's PBC. If we're doing a project for CHA, Williams Park, our goals are 40% because those are CHA's rules. So it just depends. For Southside High School, it's 40% participation. We have a modular that we're putting at Columbia, and it's 11 and 2%. We look at each project to make sure it makes sense with the project. We also have city hiring, and we also have community hiring, which means if the project is located in Inglewood, we're going to make sure Inglewood or West Inglewood, Chatham have the opportunity to work on that project. Similar to Section 3, but a little different, and all those maps are included in our construction projects. Similar, we have PBC alerts. The only difference, and not to down DPS, they send out their alerts every week. We send out alerts only when we have something. So we only send out alerts, hey, we have a construction project out. Hey, we have a community hiring session. So if you want to make sure you sign up, I put these flyers at the beginning just to make sure you go to the website. It's at the bottom of the page. So you can sign up for alerts. The last slide actually talked about how we advertise, not PBC alerts. But we advertise on PBC alerts, the Sun Times, and we have a list of assist agencies as well. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for either agency? I have one. Just you.
Just quickly, since PBC hires community residents for project, how do residents become aware?
That's a great question. So we have community hiring sessions. I know some of our favorite people here have been. We advertise it online, local churches. It's been in the newspaper a couple of times, and we have them throughout the year. So, for example, Southside High School, we had about 200 people come out and apply. Currently, it's only maybe 8% done, but we have about 15 people on that project thus far. So it's different ways we communicate that. And for our favorite project, Williams Park, we had a community session at Charles Hayes, and we had a separate one in the Dearborn homes. So we go everywhere.
Any additional questions? All right. So if there's no additional questions, we want to thank you for coming out today. And our next session, you can go to our website, or you'll get a DPES alert that gives you the workshop in the two sister agencies that we will be featuring next time. I think it's October when we do it again. But each time that we do these, we do it with two different agencies so that you get a chance to hear from all of the agencies throughout the year.
No questions is an indication how great the performance.
Absolutely. So can we give them a round of applause?
I was going to say, what business are they in, since nobody had any questions? Can we go around the room and just ask what kind of business they're in? Sure.
Construction? Construction.
What kind?
Just different types, more residential. I'm just trying to get back into it.
Okay.
I say remodeling, construction.